Okay, you'll notice a few changes with the bike since the last video. You can see I've got these handguards on. They're on nice and tough, and like they look pretty good, to be honest, and they fit pretty well. The one thing that I will be doing today, just to make them a bit safer, is that this bolt is a little bit too long, and obviously you don't want something sharp here for if you were to end up going over the handlebars and just catch a leg on there, or that will rip into you and it will be a thoroughly unpleasant experience. So I'm going to trim these down, and I'm going to put a bit of heat shrink over them just to make them a little bit safer. The other thing you'll notice is I've now got a set of Oxford Hotgrips. I'll put the link for those in the description as well. I stuck the controls up here so it's fairly easy to reach when you're out and about. The dog has helped immensely, definitely not slowing down the whole process at all. So these were actually fairly easy to get on. I didn't film it because there are a load of different videos for how to fit Oxford Hotgrips, so just choose anyone you like. The only bit that needed a little bit of extra thought was on the throttle side. So the actual throttle tube there, it has like a lip on this end and a little lip on this end before it reaches the bigger lip. That's just before it goes into the throttle mechanism here. So I had to trim those lips off. I had to get the old grip off first of all, then I had to trim off the lips like on this side in order to be able to get the tube with the heated grip on. I started off doing that just with a sharp Stanley knife, but actually the plastic is quite brittle and it kind of looked like it might potentially shatter or crack or cause issues with the tube itself. So I got the Stanley knife and I got a little camping stove, and I just heated up the blade until it was just starting to glow red, and it sliced quite neatly through the plastic, so that actually made it quite easy. Obviously you have to glue these grips on using the glue provided within the kit, which means that this is now pretty much permanently attached to that throttle tube. So just to be on the safe side, I've ordered a new throttle tube from the Kove website, and it was actually a bargain at a very reasonable £24. So if I ever want to put it back to normal grips, it's easily done. The wiring for it, managed to do it fairly neatly. I might put a little bit of loom tape around it, but you can still easily get full lock without any of the wires or tubes getting in the way. It's pretty good. So this will be perfect for today's test ride because it's currently 5 degrees and quite windy, so the handguards might offer a little bit of wind protection, and the heated grip's going to be really useful. You'll also see that I have managed to get hold of one of these very nice EX rally seats. They're sort of suede on the top, and they've got a little pouch for your rally card, but actually that's really useful for just bits and bobs that you need to have to hand on the trail. And today I'm going to have a go at fitting just the rear section of the luggage rack. So I'm also going to very quickly fit the steering damper just so I can take that for a bit of a test ride, and then I'm going to go and hit some of my local trails, which are a bit boggy and muddy but all relatively close to home, to test out the new tyres, test out the steering damper, and then just see how everything feels. Right, I'm going to have a go at fitting this rear rack, and to be honest, this could go one of a number of ways because there are an awful lot of parts and I'm not entirely sure what goes where at the moment. But I'm just going to pick some of the bolts from the packet that appear to fit in the holes and then wing it and see what happens. So, what could possibly go wrong? First, going to remove these. Try a 6mm Allen key. It almost seems a shame because look how nice that is, like a proper machined bolt. It could easily have been spacer, as I'm sure someone else has commented before, but it's a nice bit of kit that, so some thought got into the design. Keep these all together somewhere so I can put them somewhere safe. And I believe these thick spacers appear to fit into that hole and then lift the whole back of the rack up. And so it would make sense that these are the right ones for here, but we will find out. And there's some longer bolts to go back in, which aren't as nice as the machined one, but hey ho, what can you do? These little bolts at the front have to come off too. And they are Torx bolts. This is the one. They are the one size where I've snapped my Torx key. I have to get put some leverage on that. You can see I've previously snapped this side of the Torx tool, so let's spanner on the other end for some leverage. Now these look like they might be promising. Yes, that looks more like it. Ensures a secure connection to the actual sort of solid frame bit of the bike. And I think these recessed caps go on top of the rack, but we will cross that bridge when we come to it. This might be the puppy. Yep. Yes. Now let's see how this lines up. The holes are all kind of adjustable because they are oval shaped. So there's every chance I'll be taking these out again, so again a little bit of copper grease in there. I imagine once I discover that I'm using completely the wrong bolts further down the line, I will want to remove these, so best to make sure they don't end up seized from the get-go. So these ones I think do have a cover that goes over the top, and then this bolt drops through there, because then that looks quite neat. That's like recessed into there, so process of elimination. Right, let's get some Allen keys on the go, get this tightened up. Great. Whether that is correctly or incorrectly fitted, it feels pretty solid for the time being, and it's just going to allow me to put a little bag on the back so I don't have to have everything in my rucksack. I guess one slight concern at the moment is this sharp corner here, which I think will be a lot less sharp once the side portions are added on. I decided to put these little connector pieces on, because then that makes this sharp corner a little bit safer. So the connector itself is threaded and these little tiny bolts go through. Could be quite tricky to line up, but hopefully it'll be a case of get one in and the rest follow. Lovely stuff. Yeah, I didn't quite feel like it was a good idea to go test riding with a really sort of pointy bit. This is much nicer because this bit is round and you're less likely to catch on here. And to be honest, if this works, I'm likely to leave it like this for quite some time, because I'm not really going on any hugely long trips where I'm going to need more than just like a little tail pack. I like to just, on the bike, put the heavier stuff like pump, tyre levers, tools, that kind of things, and then just have like some other stuff in my rucksack, like first aid kit, that kind of thing. So this might do for quite some time, but it's nice to have the option to add the side bits on if I'm going on a longer journey. But that rack, put the link in the description, so far has fitted very well, and I think it will do the job. Right, in order to get to these fittings here, because they are right underneath this part of the handlebar, we're just going to have to remove these clamps here and just take the bars out of their clamps and then move them forward a little bit. So four Torx bolts. Just make sure you don't lose any of the rubber dampers, so we can just move this forward out the way. Get this pin in here, so we'll find the fasteners for that. No idea what the torque spec on these is going to be, so I'm just going to do it relatively tight. Just snug. Just at the point that the Allen key is just starting to flex a little bit. And then I could be wrong, but it's possible that this on the damper side has the little lock washers there, because they fit very neatly into this hole. And you'll see, if we look at the bolts, they've got this sort of edge, which when you drop it into the hole, fits very neatly indeed. And I guess having those little washers in there will just sort of stop the vibrations slightly. So we need to drop our pin into this bracket there, and it needs to be orientated the right way around so you can get it through this little loop on the damper. Like so. And then it's just a case of lining everything up. You can actually use the damper itself to kind of hold it vaguely in place. And these ones are a 6mm Allen bolt. Yep. To experiment with tightening these up. Do it again, tightish, but not too tight, hopefully. Then we need to put these bars back in place. Then we just want to set up our bars as they were before. I had them just slightly further forward of centre, and you can see on the bars you've got these little marks that show you how far left and right they are, and also how far back and forwards they are. So I just want that little vertical line sticking out there, that little vertical line sticking out there, and just slightly forward of centre. So I'm going to try and hold them in place whilst I just nip up the clamp bolts. That's good. So now we should be able to adjust the damping on the steering, which is pretty cool. Everything feels like it's in the right place. Next job is just to nip off the end of these bolts and just make them a little bit safer. You have the same success on this side. And what I'm finding, in terms of like the jerky throttle, is that the steering damper kind of helps quite a bit, because when it does jerk, the steering doesn't flap about. As you can see, it's starting to get dark now. It's also starting to rain. 1 second. Can't not do that. So I think it might be wise just to return home now and call this a successful test.